Hi guys, and welcome to our channel. Today we're going to be touching on this topic that goes like this. Is a woman's importance as a wife dead? And we're going to be talking about that right now. So earlier I asked, is a woman's importance as a wife dead? I'm going to look at this from the African context. What I want to do is analyze how things have changed over the years in terms of roles and the role that a woman plays in the home. And then we'll be able to ascertain by ourselves to see if the role as a wife is dead. The first thing I'm going to talk about is, I'm going to draw it from a conversation I had with one of my friends the other day. He said he cooks better than most of the women he has had dealings with, be it sexual or whatever. He said he cooks better than those women. So it got me thinking, if a man, okay, let me pause. Let me go back to the period or the era of our grandmothers. Let me go back to that period here in Africa. We all remember growing up, right? Those of us who were, if you are born from the 80s up, as the 80s, 70s, up like that, and maybe to a certain extent the early 90s, you would understand what I'm saying if you're born in the African continent. We all remember growing up how you never go into your mother's kitchen without her consent. You dare not put your hands in your mother's soup without her consent. You dare not. Even if she gives you the consent to go into her soup pot, you will be scared and wondering and looking at her face and wondering, is she trying to beat me? I remember growing up when I go visit my grandmother, my late grandmother then. She would sit down. Her kitchen was her domain. She had a cupboard where she keeps all her soups and everything. And we, the grandchildren, when we are ready to eat, we will obviously go to the kitchen while she's sitting down on her big chair, and we hand over our plate, and she puts it, and she tells us, is this enough? Do you want more? You must finish your food, and then she gives it back to us. We knew one thing, that on no account will we go there if she's not there, because it was already registered in our minds. And secondly, there's this funny thing my sisters and I used to do then. When we collect more than we're supposed to collect and we don't finish it, we can't go back to the kitchen with the plate that has food in it. So what we do is we wrap it somewhere and throw it away so she doesn't see it. That's the amount of discipline we were given as kids when it came to dealing with not just grandmothers, dealing with wives. That's a wifely, old school wifely trait, I would call it. You could not enter a woman's kitchen. They were not having it. Just walk into her kitchen and dip your hands in a soup pot. You would get beaten. So now I come back to the modern day where young men like us now cook for ourselves, clean our houses, do all those same things that the women then took as their key responsibilities as wives. So if we as men are doing those things, where we are performing those functions, we're cooking for ourselves, we are cleaning our houses, we're taking care of our homes, doing everything, then what's the use of having a wife? Again, let's look at this from an open-minded perspective. You have a girlfriend you're sleeping with, and whenever she comes, you guys eat out. She doesn't cook, you do the cooking, you do the cleaning. You guys have sex, obviously. But all she brings to the table is just sex. There's no homely trait or nothing that you can see that you'd be like, okay, fine. What's the incentive for you to marry that woman? There is no incentive from a man's perspective, because you're looking at it and you're saying, all I'm going to get from her is sex. That's all she's giving me. I mean, she doesn't do anything. And remember, most of us were raised by traditional women, where we understood what it took or what it takes to be a traditional woman and the roles they perform. You know, being a helpmate to a man, ensuring that that home is in order, ensuring that certain things are in place. So there's no incentive from a man's perspective to marry that kind of a woman. And then add to that the influx of independence. I'm an independent woman, feminism, all these things have made it even much more tasking for a man to want to have to deal with a woman, because you don't want all that baggage, you don't want all those problems. So what happens is you end up, okay, she might get pregnant, and then that's that. Which is why I always say to women that, listen, if you want to get married, again, this is not for people who don't want to get married. If you really want to get married and you're a woman, you need to ask yourself this question. As a woman, what exactly am I bringing to the table to this man that makes him see me as a wife? I'm not saying treat him as a wife before he marries you, but I'm saying, what am I showing him? What signs am I showing him that I am actually someone who can add to his life? I'm actually someone who can improve him, who can be a helpmate. What are those traits? And a lot of women have it misunderstood. You hear a lot of women say, oh, I can't cook for anybody, oh, I can't cook for nobody, I can't do this, I'm not his slave. But you still want a husband. So if you can't do all these things, what exactly are you going to be bringing to the table? Fine, you say you are a modern day woman, very fine. But you want a traditional man. Does that make any sense? A modern day woman, you go out, you make your money, you do your thing, you do this, you do that. But you want a man who would go out and perform those same functions that our fathers in the 70s used to perform. How is that a fair deal? Where you are a modern day woman, but you want your man to perform the functions that your fathers or fathers in the 70s used to perform. How? When you can't even do anything. You can't even perform the functions of the women back then. And then when you ask some of these women that, okay, why can't you perform those? A lot of them come, oh, our mothers were traumatized, our mothers were this, our mothers were that. Is it any better now? Where you are having children all over the place. And then some of you don't even know who the fathers of those children are. But then you want to pin that child on another person. No, it's not that easy. Men can get sex anywhere. And that's what a lot of women don't understand. If you think you can hold a man down with sex, you're fooling yourself as a woman. No. What a man takes note of is not the sex, but it's those other qualities that can qualify you, that will make the man look at it and say, oh, okay, this woman would make a good wife for me. But if you don't have those qualities, just forget it. Just forget it. There's nothing wrong with, if you choose as a woman that you want to live the rest of your life alone. Yeah, you live the rest of your life alone. There's nothing wrong with it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you know you want marriage, you need to ask yourself this question. I'm with this man. What am I bringing to the table to him or to his life that goes beyond what the normal woman would bring? That goes beyond sex. And this is where a lot of women have got it all wrong. Instead of them to go back to our older mothers and take a leaf from their page and look at how the women then used to do it and blend it with incorporate it into how you deal with your situation. No, they're like, nah, the women of back then were not the it women. But that's what some of us men do. In the days past, men never used to enter the kitchen. Men were not supposed to go into the kitchen. But because men have understood now that they have to be helper to women, they have to help them. That is why a lot of men are learning how to cook. A lot of men can go into the kitchen and do certain things. A lot of men can help out with certain things that ordinarily the traditional men will not. What does that tell you? That a lot of men who have the traditional mindset have understood that, listen, in this day and age, you have to find a way around it to help your woman. But most of those women have not balanced themselves. They've just gone all the way from traditional to straight 100% modern. But then again, you want a traditional man. This is why nobody would marry you. That is why no man would marry you. That's why you see a situation whereby a man would date a woman for years and years and years and no marriage. Again, this is for people who want to get married, because I know there are some who would say they are not interested in marriage. But if you are interested in marriage, fine. Also, another thing I want to touch on in this topic is I think back in the day, both men and women needed each other to survive. They needed each other. The women knew that they needed the man, and the man knew that he needed his woman to be a helpmate to him. But this day and age, with the I am independent movement, I am the feminist movement, I can do it all by myself, it has made the women feel that they can do it all by themselves. And this is what leads to a lot of broken women. If you check yourself as a human being, I'm sure you will see certain flaws you have as a woman that, oh, listen, this and this and this I need to work on. And I know some people will say, oh, I have been that to my boyfriend, I've been that to my fiance, or I've done all that, I did all that, and he still didn't marry me. There's always an exception to the rule. Like I'll always say, there's always an exception, but we are not going to build our premise on the exception. We are going to build it on the real deal. We are not going to say because there's one or two cases whereby maybe the woman did everything and didn't get married that we're going to base it off of that. No, we're not. I'm speaking now and saying to the women that, listen, ask yourself, if you know you want to get married, ask yourself that question. What am I going to bring to this man? What am I showing this man that is beyond sex? What am I giving? What am I bringing to the table to show this man that what I'm doing is beyond sex? And that's key. That's very, very key. So this is why I say a woman's importance, and why I ask the question that is a woman's importance as a wife dead? It's just a simple answer. If you ask me, I'll say yes, it is. It is dead, and it's dying at a fast rate. And this is the reason why we have so many baby mamas out there, because a lot of these men don't see the worth in getting married to these women, because what are you getting from them? You are just getting headache, stress, trouble, and nothing more. But meanwhile, back in the day, the men knew they had to marry these women. They knew that they needed that woman for stability. They needed that woman who would hold them down in the home front when they go out to probably fight wars, to probably challenge the world. They knew that when they came back home, they had that woman to piece that the woman is like the glue. She glues the family together. But now we don't have it anymore. You just have a world filled with baby mamas that run their mouth and think that they are something special. You're not. The other day I met someone online. I can't remember how old she is. I think her online name was something spicy or something. So while I was talking to her, she said she was obviously a baby mama. She has a child, and I'm like, what kind of a woman, you have a child and you're calling yourself spicy? And then she tells me that her name, she tells me her real name, obviously. And I'm like, what kind of mentality is that? You have a child already, and you're over 40, and your name on your handle is spicy. And then what you write on your bio is, oh, I don't want no time wasters. I don't want no useless men. I want serious-minded men. I want, what did she say again? And if you see all the standards they ask for, I'm like, you have the nerve. You have the nerve. Being a baby mama to ask and demand all this nonsense for a man to come into that situation to carry your burden. No man will take you seriously. As a woman, if you know that you don't bring more than sex to the table and you want marriage, you're wasting your time. So finally, I want to thank you guys for listening. I want you to subscribe, like, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye-bye.